looking. Oh yeah, I forgot to change the title. Yep, it is about balance. Just general balance thoughts.
All right, so general cliff notes. Griselma wasn't designed for this game. Armor and healing were really strong when characters had a lot of access to it, and similarly, cracked and broken armor were really strong. Any characters that were able to break the stamina game were broken, like Ramsey, or characters that were able to move really far without using stamina, like Wu, were similarly a lot stronger than everybody else, and debuff immunity was also way too strong. There's the cliff notes.
Thanks, man. Nice and quick. Next up is Unoven.
It's UNO.
Oh, okay.
So one of the things I noticed with balance in general was just that, like, given how high the skill ceiling was, there were characters that were actually broken, but most people didn't notice it because no one could actually play them. Like, Wu optimally played was broken, but there were maybe like 5 people I knew who could play him, so you didn't really get that. So that was something that maybe should be considered. How do you balance around like difficulty versus actual power? Also, Ramsey was perfectly balanced and not broken. Please don't nerf him. That's about it, since it's a 1 minute thing.
Awesome. Thank you. Next up is Guy 2.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi. I felt like overall the game was very well balanced, aside from maybe like a couple niche cases. But in terms of like how ranged characters related to melee characters, I think that once you got good at the game, it was fine. But I felt like the learning curve for melee characters was like overall was kind of like ridiculous. And I feel like if I didn't have all like the free time I had back then to like get good at the game and actually understand how melee characters work, it would put like a lot of people off the game, or at least in terms of playing melee characters. Like range, like if you're bad at the game, it'd be much easier to play like a ranged character and do well, as opposed to playing like a melee character. So I feel like the melee characters are actually really balanced, like, but maybe just in terms of like the learning curve, I don't really know how you could like make it better, but that was like what I always thought. So that's about it.
All right. Good points. Thank you very much. Next up is Sulfus. I saw what you put in chat, so if you've got anything else, go for it.
Oh, hey, sofech. Darn it, you've been
Hey.
reading my chat? I've been writing that out thinking that you wouldn't have anything else. I'm gonna say that Ashlyn was most balanced when she could summon 2 Kadors. There we go.
Oh my god. All right. Of
If
course.
you read my chat, that's all I had.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right.
thank you.
Thanks. Good to see you.
You too.
Next up is Gargan.
Yeah, so just like one thing was like Mozu's redirect was broken for forever, and so like I don't know, just like balance wise, making that clearer in the future. Like when a character's broken, like literally bugged, it would be better.
Oh yeah, you mean like actual hard bugs
Like
that need to
just actually like a
balance?
bug that was not working, so it just felt like I would accidentally pick it and then I just couldn't do anything with it.
Yeah. Okay. Definitely. Thanks for the
But that's
feedback.
it. Yeah, no problem.
Next up is Distruttorex.
Hey, I just had a quick question. Do you think that the extended range of Wool was a little bit too strong for a character with so much damage and mobility?
Oh, I'm not here to provide my commentary. I want to know what you think. If you think it was too strong, then definitely want to hear your feedback.
I think it was too strong specifically on Wu, since he was already a very strong character that brought a lot to the table. That much CC as well was a little bit too much, I think personally.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot. All right, next up is Sephirion.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi. So I think my problems are necessarily away from like the actual balance of the game and more about how the game is going to be balanced. I think more often than not, the lifeblood of many like modern like esports very big games are that they are balanced constantly like over and over. So I think that it's mostly my thing was that I think the game needs to be balanced more often, more patches to come through to like take a look at the meta, what's going on right now, what people are playing, and then make movements from there.
Okay, interesting. I'll give you a little bit more time. I'm actually going to reset it so we got an extra minute. So, how frequently or infrequently do you think is a good cadence for character balance updates? Like not
I
content, just character
Yeah, like
balance.
character balances. I think that depending on the update schedule of when you're going to introduce a new character, there should be one, maybe three balance patches, 1 to 3 balance patches in between, so that when you introduce that new character, before you get to the next character, you've already balanced that character and you've balanced like any changes in the meta that might have happened by that character being introduced.
All right, good stuff. Thanks a lot.
No problem.
Next up, Electro Tiger. I see a lot of differing opinions in chat, but it seems like most people think like a couple times a month, maybe like every 2 weeks is a good cadence. It's interesting. Hey,
Hey, uh, I feel for the balance overall, the game's pretty good, but once you do get to the higher tiers, uh, just feels like some characters are kind of useless, especially going against crossplay. Uh, go against an Amani on PC with really good mouse and keyboard, and you're playing as Muzu, you're gonna die almost every single time. So be careful of that. And I say other characters can be a bit too slow on console. If you're trying to be an assassin, you could bump into walls a bit too much. But with mouse and keyboard, you can do really precise movements, especially with characters like Fu. So besides that, I say balances is kind of alright. It just depends on what input you have, and that's it.
cool. Thanks for the feedback. Really appreciate that.
Hey, sofech, I can't actually raise my hand, so I'm just gonna force myself in here for a moment.
Okay, what's up?
So for balance, there are some characters that have no damage fall off, like Imani, HK Railgun. And in a game like Gigantic, I feel like not having any damage fall off, being able to do full damage from across the map is just a little overpowered. That's all I've got.
All right, cool. Thanks for coming through. Damn, mods abusing their power. All right. Next up is this is Pablo.
Hello, can you hear
Yeah.
me?
Hey.
Uh, the one thing I love about Gigantic is I love characters that excel in some roles and don't excel in other roles. So you really get that kind of like, oh no, I'm weak here and I'm strong here. And I felt like Gigantic had this really cool, like, ranged versus melee. And I guess maybe coming from a more casual perspective, I love the balance of the game. And I think that it striking that good balance, making characters weak but also making them feel strong in certain spots is like the most important thing. And I thought Gigantic did a great job with that. Thank you.
Rad. Appreciate that. Thanks. All right. So we're going to get Shammy in here next, but real quick, just for everybody else, I haven't gotten a sense of this yet, but there is a build that we do not speak of out there in the wilderness somewhere. We're not talking about that one. We're talking about the live game. All right. Shammy's up next.
Hey there. I'm gonna keep this like super duper quick so you can
Cool.
get on to the next person. I think that in a game that is a lot of ranged characters versus a lot of melee characters with high skill based movement, I think an adherence to projectile based weapons rather than hit scan ones is kind of a must.
All right. That's
All right.
great. Thank you. Much
Yep.
appreciated. Next up, Tiramisu.
Hi. I'll
Hey.
keep this also very short. You can hear me, right? Okay. Anyways, I want to say I feel like the best way to balance certain characters is add to more characters to certain roles. Like Margrave is the only one designated as a tank. I know you guys were working on like a prototype at the time, but more people or more characters in that variety will help a lot, especially with like those big roles where there's only one person that really fulfills those kind of priorities or tanks. So that's it.
Yeah, excellent comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, Smash Guy.
Hey, so I played. I wanted to touch upon a comment based on the fact of like I guess debuffs. I feel like a lot of them were centralizing. So I would play like a lot of Beckett and a lot of Zenobia. I noticed with Beckett, I would have more like ways to play her that just felt like it wasn't too over centralizing. Like all of her builds felt pretty useful in different scenarios. And I felt like I got more enjoyment out of playing that compared to when I played Zenobia, who was like I enjoyed the character, but I felt like there was like one specific build I always made with her. So I feel like that type of balance, making sure every ability kind of just can really like shine in specific scenarios is super important.
Cool. Build diversity, definitely. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Next up is Goose. We've only got a handful of people in queue, and then we'll move it up to just whatever you guys want to talk about. I'll stick around for, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes, depending on how many people we have after this segment. Hey, Goose.
Yo, sorry to mention the O word once again, but I feel like there's a really cool thing in Overwatch where they have an experimental tab where they let people experiment with some of the changes that devs are looking at. I think that'd be pretty cool to consider.
All right. Thanks a lot. Next up, BRB got a derp.
Hello, you hear me?
Hey.
I just want to start off by saying I'm appalled by all this granny hate that I am seeing in this chat. Granny is perfectly balanced as all things should be. And another thing I want to touch about on balance is one thing I really liked how Gigantic did well, where was certain characters had certain upgrade paths that would give them a little hand to deal with other characters that countered their playstyle. I thought that was something that was done really well, and in some aspects it might not have been on certain characters for certain upgrade paths, but I think if that was expanded upon on, it would have turned out something really good. And that's all I want to say for now. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for stopping by. Another granny lover, a gentleman and a scholar. Up next, Generic Guy.
Hello.
Hey.
Yeah. So my biggest issue with balancing of characters now that pet characters just suck. They are poorly designed, and the pet limits you instead of becoming an extension. They should be able to adapt to the rapid rotation and flow of the game. Like for example, Alpha Icewing versus Scoring Icewing before. Kill's AI was more responsive. She could do a lot more stuff. She could go invisible. She was very cool, you know. And now they just nerf her. She is absolutely tied to the to Kador and cannot do anything without him. So it's it's like kind of backwards. Same for Granny. Granny is just stupid. It doesn't matter if she's strong or weak. She's stupid. Her playstyle is really monotonous, and it doesn't contribute much to the match.
All right, valid points. Thanks again, Generic Guy.
Yeah, thanks, Fetch.
Up next, Cosmic.
Hello again.
Yo.
All right. I'm going to try to make this as quick as I can. Some of my points, some characters like Zenobia were at launch were kind of a bit weak and lackluster, so you wouldn't see them as often and only worked better with certain builds. Like Zenobia was good if you had like melee characters in the game, but she kind of faltered with range characters unless you knew what you were doing. Rucker, he was really strong at launch, but my boy got done so dirty with how hard he got nerfed. The only like after his nerf, there's only a few people you'd see playing Rucker because he'd kind of get pancaked really easy. Some characters would get their focus a bit too fast, like Imani and that tier 3 focus. Some, especially with some talents as well, which ties into this point, some talents were just, you wouldn't take them at all. Like Imani had one talent that would get rid of her recoil and also give her more focus. That's balanced. Also, with Imani's infinite range, for example, Siren Strand, when you got to that point D in Clash, she could just hang by the Guardian and just snipe. Someone could just, like, get the creature aggravated, she could just snipe it and kill it really fast. And then it's like, oh, well, there goes point D. And then there's also other characters like Griselma and Ramsey who could easily take down creatures or solo creatures and then just get away with no punishment.
All right. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Thank you again.
Okay, we only have 4 more in queue here. We'll give each of them a minute. That'll push us just over 8 p.m. and then I'll chill for a little bit longer. So let's just jam through the rest of these guys. Agent DJ.
Hello, hello.
Hey.
Hey, so my opinions on balancing in this is for just a quick profile on me. When I played Gigantic in the live build, I was more of a new player and I kind of arrived at the tail end of Gigantic's lifespan. So at that point it was like already slowly dying off because it was already shutting down. But in the eyes of the new player, the balance, in my opinion, was actually really nice. There were a few ideas thrown around earlier when people were talking here. The fact that there should be an experimental build, and I was thinking of balancing something as if it were like old Overwatch. From what people were saying in old Overwatch, before they started nerfing a lot, was every character was OP to an extent because they were good at what they did. So I really liked it when they balanced it, but then uh the way they would balance it is that they would still cater it to the playstyle of the character. So in my opinion, yes, the experimental build would be great, but again, it should be based on like who are you getting this from, like a casual player, a competitive player, which one should you have more of a concentration on. And then I like balances that um nerf the character just enough to the point that they're still OP in this specific area or in what they do, but they are not that much dominant over this one character because of the reason that being the reason that they were nerfed. And yeah, that's it.
Cool. Thanks a lot. Next up is Turtle Duck Man. While Turtle Duck is joining, just quick question for chat, a little bit off topic, but would you prefer all characters to be weak and balanced or bonkers OP? If every character was at a low baseline or an incredibly high baseline, what would you prefer? All right, what's up, Turtle
Probably
Duck?
bonkers. Hi. So sorry I came back in because I thought of something, and I said it in chat before. I don't think burst damage snipers should exist in small team-based multiplayer games. Just flat. So like Imani, Widowmaker, Hanzo, I'm sure there's people in Paladins that don't play that game. I just don't think that play pattern is healthy for those types of games. In like big scale games like Battlefield or like single player games, super cool, very fun kind of play pattern and adds a lot of depth. But like in the small scale, like 5-on-5, 6v6 kind of hero shooters, I think it's just toxic. It just makes moving around the map so much harder, and it just is like unfun to play against. It's never fun to get one shot from halfway across the map. In Gigantic, it was a little better because Imani couldn't one shot you, but she was still just super strong and detrimental from really far away. And it's just not good. I don't think that they should be in those games just at all.
All right, point taken. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, last one for this topic, and then we'll just open up the floor. It is effing J.
Hi.
Hey.
One of the things as a casual player that I always struggled with in terms of balancing was I felt like there was a disconnect between how the character was designed, like meant to be played, and then how it was played in game. Like Uncle Sven is like a healer slash utility, and he's my favorite character. I'm an Uncle Sven main. Like I enjoyed playing him, but if I needed to heal, I would usually play someone else like Vidasi, just because having a more focused build and the way she was balanced specifically around one focused thing was better. Because while I may have enjoyed another character more, not being able to fully dedicate myself to one specific task, I felt created sort of a frustration that I was unable to kind of do the thing I needed to do, and that didn't really feel incredibly balanced to me. But that's it.
All right, good stuff. Thanks for coming through. Let me clean up my notes real quick here. While I'm doing this again, big ups to the mods for helping run this. It's so awesome. We have this server and this community. You know, we could not have done anything close to this without the mods. So thanks everybody who is modding and, you know, running this server, all that jazz. Everybody who's supporting this server, you guys are great too. And of course, everybody that's just come out tonight answering these questions, providing your feedback and perspective. Like this is so helpful. And I'm happy to be able to have an opportunity to do this too with such a big audience. I definitely wasn't expecting such a huge audience to come out, but man, you guys, it's great to see how many people love Gigantic and who still remember it fondly and who still want to see Gigantic come back and become a thing. All right, we're going to open the floor. I'm going to give everybody 1 minute and it's going to be a hard cut. So if you go over a minute, I'm actually just going to mute you and kick you out. Sorry. Like, no disrespect. I just want to get things moving. So yeah, go ahead and raise your hand if you'd like. This will just be a whatever you want to talk about kind of thing. So again, like the structure of this is just to hear your feedback about Gigantic, what you think could have been better, even if you want to say what you really liked and you wish there was more of, just anything. And so while people are kind of piling in here, to recap the topics that I wanted to hear from you guys was 1, why do you think Gigantic failed? 2, what were missing features? 3, what was wrong with combat? 4, how was the onboarding experience? 5, what about bots? 6, accessibility. 7, monetization. 8, cross-platform. And 9, balance. And then this last one will just be whatever you guys want. All right. Again, I'm just going to be pulling people in here. You have 60 seconds. If you go over, I'm going to mute you and kick you. So no disrespect. Just want to get through everybody. First up is iMystic.
Okay. One, I think player popularity should be considered in buffs and nerfs and like stuff like that. Some guy mentioned that more buffs than nerfs, but I'm scared of power creep, so I feel like it should be like an equilibrium. Also, a question that you asked was if I prefer overly busted or like sort of like undertuned. I like undertuned because once again, scared of power creep. And lastly, I think like a PTS server for like big changes would be like a cool thing. So like let's say like a new character comes out and you want him to be played in a certain way, and like other people will play him like when he actually drops, he'll be played in like an unintended way, like a way that you didn't think, and it's like way stronger than you think. I feel like giving players the option to play him freely before he actually releases could help, I guess, not ruin the game for like that time. That's all. Also, Candy Corn is good.
All right. Good stuff. Thanks. Next up, Mod Quickpaw.
Hello, hello.
Hey.
All right, I just wanted to say that the design in this game in general is what drew me to it the most at first. And then as I fell in love with the art design, the character design was what really, really stuck out to me. I love the diversity in the characters. I love the diversity in the artwork and yet how they really did an excellent job of keeping it all together. And I really love that the characters' kits really did feel like they belonged to each individual character. that was made for them. I feel like it was a really excellent game. And the only issue I had with the visuals was that sometimes the maps were visually a little cluttered. But I love the character design, and I think that the artist did an excellent job.
Good stuff. Thank you. Next up, Pocket Boy.
Hi there, sofech. Thanks
Hey.
so much for this game. Literally changed my life. I attended PAX 2016 with some friends and came away with a gorgeous Origin PC thanks to you guys. I just wanted to say I've got several friends, myself included, who all play Overwatch right now competitively. However, due to the state of the game right now, we're eager to find something else to scratch that same itch. And so if there were ever a time for Gigantic to be pitched and have a chance to be revitalized, I think now is the perfect time. So thanks so much for all that you've done for the artists, and hope you can bring us some good things.
Great, love to hear it. Congrats on the PC too. That's rad.
Life changer, literally. I still have the case, and I'm gonna get it framed sometime. So I'm very excited.
All right, cool. Thanks. Next up is Gedster.